What's good, Gifted? This is your host, Steph Wood, and I'm coming to you again from my city, live, but recorded live, Norfolk, Virginia. What's good, my gifted people? Look, been hustling a little bit, so I'm sorry I have not done more in season 2. I fall on my sword. I fall at your knees. Please forgive me, but I did launch my firm, so whew, big up for your girl. I've been doing the thing. So it's not like I was just pieced out, like sipping Mai Tais on a beach somewhere, because you can't even go to a beach anymore. That's a COVID thing, COVID reference. Okay, I promise that's the last reference that I use to COVID in this episode. Pinky swear. Okay, but having said that, the firm launched. So now here we are. I'm in my second season of What's Good Gifted, and I'm excited because this one is a killer. But before I bring my guest on, I got to give you my 60-second soapbox. So here's the thing. Somebody said to me once, Steph, when you make it big, don't forget the little people that you left behind. Hey, Steph, when you get where you're going, don't forget to look back at where you came from and the people that are still there. Well, I kind of want to just address that as a unit of people who are pushing forward. All of us are trying to achieve goals, achieve dreams. All of us are moving in a direction where it's not necessarily an up or a down. Now, hear me out. Okay, because I know some of you are like, all right, Steph, I already know what you're about to say. Some of you guys are listening to me and you already know me. So you're about to say, okay, Steph, we know everybody's equal. We know everybody's the same. But it goes further when you're trying to achieve success and you're trying to be at this level that you think you should be at, this hierarchy. Oh, I got to get up to get here. I got to get to this next thing to be where I want to be successful, to be happy. Might I just submit to you today that it's not necessarily about the up or the down or the right or the left or getting to another level on this hierarchy that only you really understand the concept of and some other person put in place to make you feel like you had to achieve certain greatness in order to be as good as them. What I'm thinking is if you just look around, you're going to see the greatness of all of God and the greatness of every person that's around you. So it's not necessarily about reaching new heights or reaching new levels of an upward situation. And again, our minds can be tricked because we are making money. So we think more money means more success. We think more dollars mean more prestige. We think the bigger, the better, right? We think the more we have, somehow that means we have reached the pinnacle of success. And we have to somehow look back at those who didn't get there. Look back at those who we stepped on to reach the top. What I'm trying to say is just keep looking around. If you just keep looking around, you're never going to be in a situation where you feel like you have to look back at what you did. You're never going to be in a situation where you have to feel like, oh, you achieved something great. And because you're at this level of fullness in your life, that the people that you sort of were in a different part of your life didn't somehow achieve success and greatness in their own right. Come on now. So my 60-second soapbox is all to say this. You never reach new heights. You just reach new fullness. So if you keep trying to chase a whole other level, first of all, not a word, but if you're trying to chase another level, and that another level has to do with what dollars are in your bank account, has to do with your position, your educational, this hierarchy expectation that only really society places on you and the people in your circle place on you, then you really are going to be trying to achieve something that's not achievable, because we are not supposed to be hierarchy, lower level. We're not supposed to be in this society where some have it and some don't. So in all theory, it's an egalitarian society I'm trying to explain to you. So when you look at that situation, you think, okay, I'm not reaching success because I have more money. I'm not reaching success because I haven't achieved the level of title. I haven't achieved the level of stature. Maybe I'm not there yet. You better look at the fullness of your life. And you never look behind when you look at the fullness. You just look around. It's not a before and after. It's an encompassing circle. It's not like you started a journey down a road way long ago and the road is going like this. okay? And your fullness is the level of success that you'll have. So no, I don't feel like I need to look back at anyone because I didn't leave anyone. The ones that were supposed to come on the road with me, they're still kicking and screaming. The ones that weren't supposed to come on this journey or this path that everybody talks about, these lanes that everybody talks about, they fell off on their own, or they're just in another segment of my life. Same with you. Never look back. Try not to look forward. Look around. Look around at who's pouring in. Continue to look around. And if you just look again, just look back again, you coming around again, look again, look, you're gonna find something in somebody on your team that is ridiculous. And you never even knew they had it. That's my 60-second soapbox. I already told my guest when he came on that it was gonna be one of those days. I felt it. I said, look, I know it's supposed to be like a minute or whatever, but I can't. It wasn't a minute, guys. It wasn't a minute. But that is my 60-second soapbox. This is What's Good Gifted, the podcast. And today I'm excited because my friend is back. Today we have back on the show Lamar Barrett, NBA scout, 16-year college coach, veteran. Now he's produced his own docuseries called Unmasked. I'm really excited about it because his views are soaring. People are commenting. People are getting invited. The conversations are good and they're unique, as the podcast offers to unmask and unveil the stories of the college basketball coach. It's my honor to bring back my guy, Lamar Barrett. What's good, Lamar? Welcome back.
Thank you, Steph, so much. And you know what? I've actually really missed you. I've watched some of your podcasts even after, but I missed being on the show, you and Ace. And I thought it was good for that time, and I'm glad to be back on the show.
Well, and I'm glad to have you back, and I've been keeping an eye on you. And how about our boy Ace? How about our boy Ace, new assistant
happy
coach?
For him, man. He got a chance to go. You get to go back home, to his second home, and he gets promotion after year one. So extremely happy for him. I talked to him 2 days ago, so now I'm extremely happy for him.
Man, we may not be able to reach him anymore. I need to. It's gonna be one of the days where he just stops calling us, Lamar.
Best time to catch him is right after a LeBron James win or loss, because everyone hits him up and he got a lot of feedback on that. That's the best time.
Oh, I'm sure he does. I'm sure I already know. So speaking of that, let's get right into the playoffs. Look, I'm super excited about what you've been doing with the docuseries. And this episode is really all about you. So let's talk, because I know you're going to give me your commentary on the game, because that's what we do in Full Time Out, and that's just what you do, that you're really good at that. But I want to know what else is going on with Lamar. But before we do that, let's talk playoffs. Where are you? First of all, how did you feel about what happened to Chris Paul and them?
You know what? Like, I think they had a tremendous season, first of all. To go 7 games with Houston, who's probably, just a tad bit better. But for what Chris Paul is and who he is, I'm not shocked that series went 7 games and them having a chance to win. I'm not shocked. I'll actually, Chris Paul is one of my favorite guys to watch. So I wish they would have continued into the second round, just because he gets so much. Besides LeBron James, he probably gets criticized mostly more than anyone else in the NBA for not winning a championship. And I don't think people understand how hard it is to win an NBA championship.
I echo that. Not to mention the social and personal responsibility he takes on by working with the players group, by making sure the Black Lives Matter movement, everything that he's done socially with amid COVID, and again, ongoing player relations. The weight of that, that is a whole different type of responsibility that he has. What is your take on that? And what is your take on the job he's done in that role?
I think he's been terrific. He's always been a leader, and that's on and off the floor. So I'm not surprised by his leadership abilities. He's always been, all of his family have always been HBCU individuals. His brother played over at Hampton. So he's always supported that. But his leadership with them getting back into the bubble, asking for, or demanding certain things from the NBA before they even went back was huge. And then even when they got down there with the Milwaukee Bucks deciding to protest, and then they come together and they decide to continue to play. I mean, Chris Paul is owed a huge thanks for that, not only just from the NBA fans, but the NBA players as well. And I think all of those guys appreciate that. Not just him, but a ton of those guys are so big in the movement now. They understand it's their time. They have a voice. They can reach so many people. I know a lot of people are like concerned now, politics, you can't put that into sports and things of that nature. I totally disagree, because those guys have a platform and they can reach a lot of people that some people can't. And I'm extremely proud. I'm extremely happy for him, but I'm also extremely happy for the rest of the NBA.
Yeah, and you know what? Very well put. And you know, when they lost that final game, I literally looked away for like 3 minutes, and it was over, and I was like, ugh, that's tough. But fast forward, let's talk about the Lakers, okay? Because they're up 3-1. Today is actually September 11th. I know this is going to air next week or whenever we figure it out. But right now, the Lakers are up, leading the Rockets 3-1. Is it? I mean,
this has been talked about
what's
since
about to
last.
happen? What's about to happen, Lamar?
It's exactly what everybody envisioned when Anthony Davis came to the Lakers. Mm-hmm. It was when Kawhi and Paul George went to the Clippers. Mm-hmm. This in the Western Conference Finals is probably the NBA Finals. The two best teams in the league. I mean, I know that Milwaukee may have had the best record, but those two teams are the best teams in the league, and it should be a great 7-game series, because they have they respect each other, but they have a very disdain. They don't like each other either. Like, they respect each other, they don't like each other. It's kind of the old school basketball. You know, you've got bragging rights, not only just for the NBA, but for the city of LA, the state of California. Like, when we're here, it's the Lakers have always been great. The Clippers has never been good. But, it's set up to see, hey, those two in the Western Conference Finals, that's what you wanted back in July. Now you have a chance to get it, and it'll be here soon. And hopefully we come back on the show. We're talking about that great 7-game series, because it has star power. It has star power. And, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a chess match in that series.
What is your take on some of the rookies? And Lamar, now we're talking about basketball. We might not talk about anything else. But what is your take on the rookies? And I say rookie, first 3 years in the league, because again, just because you do 1 year doesn't mean you even have a concept of all that it takes. And Unmasked is probably even showing more and more people how much it takes to really coach. Like, these are not just guys that are out here playing basketball or playing horse. Like, this is a real live job. It's difficult. It's a lot of moving parts. So in this situation, these freshmen, or these rookies, for lack of a better word, what's your favorite? Who's your favorite? Who has surprised you? Who to look out for the rest of these series?
Well, this is what I say. Like, that class is 21, 22 and under is a terrific bunch of kids. The NBA is going to be in great hands once, LeBron James, Chris Paul, like, when those guys leave, it's going to be in great hands. I mean, you look at, like, everyone likes Luka. I mean, Luka has been playing professional since he was 15 years old. So when I look at Luka at 21, he's actually, a lot of these guys are 2-3 years in. He's at year 8 in, technically, from playing against grown men since he was 15. But, like, when I watch guys, and I always say this, and this is another argument for another day, like, how much better can he get? Everybody's like, he got a chance to get even better. But I'm like, I look at the numbers and I say, I don't think that's the case. But the guy that I look at got a chance to be a great at the end of the day is, like, Jason Tatum is unbelievable. And I don't think people understand how good he can be. And he plays on a team with 2 other guys that averages 20 points a game. So he's playing with other really good guys, and he's still the best player on his team at 22 years old. So I don't think a lot of people understand how great he is. Donovan Mitchell, Jamal Murray. Like, there's so many guys that have a chance to be great or all-time greats And that's why I say the league is in such good hands. But Jason Tatum is a guy I like to watch. I just like to see his development. And a lot of times guys come in, and I think people, when they high draft picks at 19 years old, a lot of people put a lot of pressure on them early and think they're going to be good right away, but they forget that those guys are playing against grown men at 19, and it gives them 2 or 3 years to develop. Like Brandon Ingram was one. Like you could see Jason Tatum, Brandon Ingram. You can see those guys going to be really good. They just had to physically get their body ready. And the ones who are really great, they've already got it from the neck up. Like that separates, and that's what separates Luka. His basketball IQ, he doesn't have to be the best athlete on the floor or the fastest or any of that. Like his from the neck up, he's better than a lot of guys in the NBA.
You know what? And you're right. But and indeed, growing up in European country, these kids don't have a school to play for. It's not like you play for your high school. It's not like you play for, and a lot of times in those European countries, foreign countries, the expectation of learning, the expectation of skill work, the expectation of IQ, basketball IQ is just different. So yeah, and we saw the emergence of the European players, begin 15 years ago when European players, a third of the entire league were players come from Europe. So of course we were bound to see a European LeBron James type figure come out. But with regard to Jason Tatum, and you're right, his body's 6'8", just over 200 pounds, but also averaging 23 points a game, coming and playing for Celtics. That's a great start. But also his field goal percentages are up. When you're trying to coach kids to hit game-winning shots and to hit game shots at game speed, the training for that is different. And that's what I think we're seeing in some of these kids. There was a wave of that skill development that came into basketball. Kevin Eastman, guys like Gannon Baker, Kevin Whitted, like just guys like this, people like Drew Hanlon, and I don't even know all the guys that David Six locally. David Six. Just guys that just really did that work on these local players, kids coming up, and they are a different breed. So now looking at their field goal percentage, hitting higher field goal percentages, which means their training was different. It means they came out of training hitting game shots at game speed, with game situations. He's shooting over almost 46% from the field goal, and then 40% from the 3-point line. Man, that's ridiculous. Come on now. You know how many shots you got to throw up at practice undefended and with no defense to be able to hit shots like that at that percentage? I mean, that's not bad. What do you think?
No, it's not bad. And that's a testament to, like you said, his workout guy. It's a testament to Brad Stevens putting him in the right position to be successful. Understand it, because when he first came in, he was taking tougher twos. Now he's learned how to take efficient threes and still get to his mid-range spots on the floor. And so he's learned, or he's evolving, or he's learned how to play the game at his pace and not always be sped up all the time. And that's the one luxury about the best players. They get to a point where they can pick when they can turn it up, when they don't have to turn it up. They don't have to always go at the same speed all the time. And I think a lot of guys, when they first come in the league, they think it's one way to play. And those guys master how to play the game more so than, being the fastest or jumping the highest in the NBA.
Indeed. And the fact everything is different. Come on now, it's a business. And let's not forget that. This is not, the NBA, the NFL, they're these big nonprofit organizations. Please,
I feel. I mean,
these
totally
guys
agree
have to go about their life completely different. They cannot. It is not. And the idea that anyone in this ever world would say something ridiculous like just keep dribbling a ball or just keep making a pass. The fact is, these guys are coming into the league. They're being thrust into a spotlight, many of which have grown up in spotlights, but come on now, this is the entire world, and they're business people as well, because they have to think of it that way. So again, you don't get settled into the NBA or any kind of situation like that where your life changes instantly. So you need a week, you need a day, you need a month, you need a year, you need a season. And I'm excited to see what Jason does, and then Luka and some of the other young guys are coming up, specifically the guy from I just forgot his name. Denver. He has the dreads.
Talking about What? Not Mike. Not yeah, Jamal Murray. That's what you're talking about. The one who had the.
Yes.
Yeah, I
He's
mean,
young,
but that's the.
right?
We just talked about him last night. Like Jamal Murray, he's always been a scoring guard. Denver's kind of tried to put him as a point guard, but if you're going to play him there, like he had a couple of 50-point games in the playoffs. Like, you know, he
First five
scores the ball.
years. He's in his
He
first five
scores the
years.
ball. Yeah, he scores the ball. So, I mean, that's what he does. And as soon as like he's not a playmaker, but he's a scorer, and that's what Denver has put him in that position. That's why they run their offense a lot through the Joker, through Nikola Jokic, because
Okay.
he's one of the best passing big men to ever play in this game. And that's kind of hard to say when you saw Vita Sabonis play, and but he can really play. I mean, you look at Marcus All, Pau Gasol; those are really really good big passers, a big man that could pass. And Joker might be the best ever when it's all said and done.
Well, thank you for your analysis. We'll be looking out for the, 5-year and under guys, see who's going to be doing their thing, looking to see who the new guys are coming up. And right now, you're talking to guys on Unmasked who are, like, touching these new players to the NBA, these really investing in them time-wise, coaching them. They are mentoring them and getting them through maybe some of the toughest times of their life as college players and transition to where they want to go, but also as college coaches, really some new, some not so new, but ready to talk about their situations and the different ways that college coaching has been challenging for them. So segue to Unmasked. Tell me why this? Like, you could have talked about anything about basketball. It could have been your 16 years for you. It could have been the NBA and it could have been a number of things. Just the analytic way that you look at the sport. Why this podcast? Why this docuseries?
So I was on so many Zooms. I was probably on 2 Zooms a day for this, going back to April and May. And I sat on some Zooms. I was actually invited to, it was a particular Zoom one day, and a young man who I mentor in the business asked me to come on. He was speaking, and I went on. I listened to him, kind of got off. The next week I was invited back to listen to someone else, actually an NBA guy who was a workout guy, who's now an assistant coach, actually for the Lakers. And he was speaking. So after, it was an invite only. Somehow I got on the invite only list, but they didn't know who I was. And so the young man, his name is Cam Daly out of Atlanta. He asked me, who I was and what did I do. And I told him I was an NBA scout. And so he was excited. So he started asking me questions. And there was 3 or 4 guys on the Zoom that I knew who were college coaches. And they started asking me questions. And as they were asking me questions, I was giving them real answers. You're on a Zoom and you put your information in the chat. My phone starts going off. I'm getting text messages from people like, hey, man, you're really spitting some real fire. You're giving us the real. You're not just telling us about your life. You're talking about what this game is really about, what guys need to know. And my phone is blowing up. So I'm like, you know what? So I kind of like, I want to make sure I stay in contact with you. And so then I thought about it, and I listened to all these people on these Zooms, and I was like, 2 things that people love doing. They love talking, and they love listening. And so that's how Unmasked kind of got created, because then I said, wow, I want to – no one knows – everyone always talks about the head coaches in this business. No one ever talks about the assistant coaches, what they do, what their life is. Let's try to get them out. So it was kind of – Unmasked, and I'll talk about a little bit, was created for the basketball fan that wants to know the behind-the-scenes activities that go on as a college coach, for the young, aspiring coach that wants to get into the profession but thinks like they only see coaching on TV, shiny suit, this is what it's supposed to be. No, that's not what it is. So it kind of like, and the professional also, a professional worker that can get tidbits to better their career in the field that they work. So that's what it was kind of set up for. It was also created to get assistant coaches, like I said, in the spotlight, so they can have a chance to move up in the business or even have a chance to run their own program one day, because there's so many talented assistant coaches that could be head coaches that's just never had an opportunity.
I agree. And I love what you're doing. You've been able to interview coaches like such as Jamal Brunt, Corey McRae, Tony Skinn, I mean, Ronnie Hammond. I mean, the list goes on. You've had a lot of views. It's really good too. One theme that I'm picking up on when I listen is that there is this pay your dues time that these guys are talking about. And you know, that's one thing that, and I don't know if it's generational, and maybe some people know about paying dues and some people don't. It might just be how you were raised or what you grew up doing or whatever, but paying your dues is like one of the toughest things that you can do because it's such an uncomfortable growth place. But a lot of your guys are talking about those initial weeks. Why is it so important that people who are trying to get into coaching understand that?
They have to understand that. I mean, it is work. Like it's not, you know, like, so now now guys look at it and think you can just jump into a job making six figures as an assistant coach, right? That's not the case. Like a lot of these guys started at, you know, lower level Division I. Some of them started Division IIIs to Division IIs to Division Is. Like, no, it's a process. It's a grind. You're going to be the low man on the totem pole. You have to come in and establish yourself because, I mean, that's just the way it's always been. It's not, I mean, you have some guys that do get breaks, but for the most part, like, you're not given anything. You have to come in and you have to work. You have to learn the business because everyone who thinks that college coaching is, oh man, I can go out, I can put on my nice polo shirt, I can go out and recruit, I can recruit players. No, there's a lot of work in recruiting. Like, you have to do a lot of work behind the scenes when you recruit. You have to do a ton of work when it comes to scouting report. You can't just, you got to watch 7, 8, 9 games and you got to pick things apart, or you got to be able to, you know, talking with players. Like, everyone has different personalities. Like, you got to be able to have a relationship with those guys so they can trust you. You know, and so, like, all those things come into play, you know, when we talk about it in Unmasked, is because it's not as easy as you think. Like, I mean, like, one Ronnie Hamilton talked about, and you mentioned his name, he talked about having to paint the locker room before he even started coaching. You know, so
I saw that, and you know what? I really enjoyed that story. And the one thing that you struck was people don't know the business of it, and what people really want is for each of us. They want to be successful at what they do. Giving them this information helps them to know what to expect. And again, if it's never been introduced to you, never exposed to you, and on top of all that, you've been the player. Like, a lot of guys that are coaching have been the guy. They never painted a locker room before. They barely had to run up sprint. Come on now. These guys that have been, you know, like, they're these players with these talents, and now here they are in a coaching role. So they had to be humble and take the low seat and realize how to then work their way up. And I love it. I love that they're talking about it. I love that it's raw because, again, there's for a nation and a country and a world that puts so much emphasis on the talents of athletes, specifically Black athletes, for a nation and a world that does that and then expect them to not be great at all facets of their job is somewhat disturbing. These guys have to be good at basketball, which is, it's a very tough, it's not jacks. You're not playing, like, you're not tiddlywinking over here. And then they also have to figure out, like you said, how to be businessmen, how to talk to people, how to lead, how to guide. And I can't help but notice that a lot of these guys are young Black men. And I know that you didn't, like, mean to do, I don't know what you meant, but it happened, and now here they are and they're talking. What does that mean, and what kind of impact can that have?
You know what? Like, it's interesting. A lot of them, and like I said, I've been in this business for 16 years, and the relationships I have are all across the board, whether it's Black or white. And a lot of the guys, there have been, and it's a ton now, because it's already been 33 that's been released. 80 have, and I've already recorded 80, which it's 47 sitting in the queue right now. And I still haven't, and I still have so many more interviews set up that I actually took a month off from this. So, because it was so many that was done, but and I didn't even, like, I didn't plan it. I just reached out to guys and said, hey man, I think you have a chance to be a head coach one day. I look at you and think you got a chance to be a star. Like, I want you to tell your story so people can understand it. And at the time, like, yeah, it's so many more when you look at it. It ended up being a ton of African American coaches, some minority coaches that was asked. But and then and with everything going on in today's world, it even opened it up even more because they even bring up some things that are related to what's going on today, like why they can't get jobs and why they can't get head jobs and why they can't move. So a lot of the social injustices thing pops up during the interview, and it's happened during this time. And I'm glad that they could express, because the one thing the three things I get out of this doing this is it's very educational, it's very therapeutic, because it's like them sitting on the couch, me talking to them, and then it's very entertaining as well. So a lot of guys come on the show, think they don't know what's going to be asked or what, but then they end up talking, and then it's like they feel relieved once they get off. Like, wow, that's some stuff I've thought about for a long time, but I've never shared. And one of my really good friends, he was like, yo, you have a way of getting things out of people that they would never express themselves. And that's kind of how the question that, and how me and you talking now, and you can do your interview, you can kind of gauge what questions to ask people, just how the conversation is going as you're talking, doing an interview. So I know what questions to ask, what questions not to ask. But I also want to get a response of what's their thoughts going on in the world today without even having to ask that in a particular way. And that's what I do like about it. And they even talk about, their balance, their work-life balance, because this is athletics has, and plus with men's basketball, has the highest divorce rate, like in the country. Like when you look at it as far, when you look at the numbers and the amount of coaches, but people have to understand, like, this is a 355, 360 days out the year job, 15 hours minimum a day. Your phone don't stop ringing. Like, anything can happen at any time. So that's I'm kind of glad that happened with the social injustice going on. It was like, it's almost perfect timing. And I know how you are spiritual and religious, and it's like, that was something that God just put on me, and I kind of ran with it. It was and
when it's
it was something I
natural,
felt. It was something I felt that needed to be done.
And when it's natural, what happens is it's just revealed, so it's not intentional, what have you. And again, Lamar, you're getting sought after now for people that want to be on your show, black, white, young, old, whatever. So, but the fact is that job demographic, that sport is going to lend itself to the young black African-American man. It's going to lend itself to the young, up and coming young black professional. And that's just the demographic. So it's awesome that these younger guys are, being highlighted, being showcased, and then also sharing their experiences. This is What's Good Gifted. I'm your host, Steph Wood, coming to you again from my city, Norfolk, Virginia. I'm on the phone with my guy, Lamar Barrett, NBA scout, founder, creator, executive producer of the docuseries Unmasked. Lamar, what's been your favorite interview so far?
You know what? That's a tough one. I get that question all the time, and that I go back and forth, and it depends on the day. Like, I mean, I say several. Like Jeff Battle from Providence, all the things he's gone through, and I'm gonna throw out a couple of these because it's so hard to leave guys off. But Jeff Battle is one that's intriguing to me because, he went through Skip Prosser dying, to his wife dying, 2 years later, to still being where he is. And the one thing I didn't understand is he should be coaching a Division I head coach with 500 wins. That came across to me like, how is this guy not a Division I head coach And like I said, I know he would have had 500 wins. And he's worked for some great guys. But Jeff Battle was just, it was tremendous to hear from him. You know, I've been knowing Jeff over the years, but then when you hear his story is even better. Like I said, Brian Steph was right at Old Dominion. I've been knowing Brian since our high school days. But then you hear him and he talks, his passion still, you know, like it's tremendous. Or like there was a guy named Keith Goody at Delaware State. Like he just had he was as real. And that's the one thing I like about it. It's authentic. It's real. He poured his heart out. Keith Goody, you know, he's had some times in his life that he was, you know, on the other side of the law. But like he's at a place now that, you know, he found God and put him in the right position, and he's a leader of men now. And so those stories are the ones that I was really excited about.
Well, you're not just like knocking doors, you're kicking doors, and it's really great. I love the series. I love the docuseries. I love where you're going with it, and I appreciate you so much. You coming back, Lamar. You've been coaching in this space for 16 plus years. Finished up your college coaching career, I guess. Finished, maybe paused it.
Yeah, you know what?
Where
People
you're
always
at
ask me,
last year.
they ask me, do I want to come back? And it's like, you know, like sometimes it's. I knew for a while now that I said, look, I got to figure out what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. What am I going to do for the next 15, 20 years of my life? You don't see too many retired assistant college basketball coaches. And I knew NBA was the way I wanted to go, but Unmasked has taken a life of his own and stuff. I mean, it's like you talk about with, I don't realize it, but I get so many. I mean, I've gotten calls from TV networks. I've gotten calls from agents like, hey, man, I love your stuff. I'm like, and these are friends who were in the business, who are now agents or who were coaches at one time. And they're like, yo, what you're doing is terrific. And there's been people who spent, you know, they've kind of made a spin off on their own and done some stuff like this on their own. I just wanted to reach assistant coaches because, you know, I can go to the head coaches. I can make Unmasked the head coaches, the head coaches. I can take it to the professional. There's a lot of things you can do with it, but I went with something I knew, something I felt that guys like myself should have gotten chances a long time ago. I understand it's not a lot, but, you know, I see some guys that should have been head coaches a long time ago, and hopefully this can help them. And it's built relationships with other coaches, Stephanie. Like, there was guys who've been in the business for 15 to 16 years who didn't have conversations with each other and been in the same gyms. Like, and so guys will call me, say, hey, can I get Jeff Battle's number? I want to reach out to him. Can I get, Marlon Gill? I want to reach out to him and just say, man, I enjoy watching your story. So now it's become almost like a brotherhood now that these guys are, having conversations with each other about, man, I didn't know that about you. I didn't know this about you. And it's exciting. It's very exciting.
Well, if it's one thing we know, conversation can cure a lot of things. Discussing stuff, talking about good, bad, hard, whatever the case may be. And you're doing all of that on Unmasked. Lamar, who's coming up? Who can we expect? When is season 1 finished? When does season 2 start? What is the deal? What's the goods? Where do we find you?
You know what? So you I have it's interesting. I have it mapped out to January 28th right now. It is so like it comes out every 3 days, 9 a.m. And I know the next one comes out on the 14th. But like so like Jason Williford, who's at UVA, who I think is going to be a head coach. Darren Savino at UCLA, who's an assistant, has been a long-time assistant. You have Antonio Reynolds-Dean down at Clemson. You have Kristen Webster at Virginia Tech. There's guys from South Dakota to South Dakota.
Oh, I can't wait.
It's all across the country. It wasn't just it was guys that I've just been watching on Zooms, listening to them telling their story, and I'm like, wow, he's intriguing. And I know so many people in the business, but I've had Anthony Solomon, who's from Newport News, Virginia. played at UVA. He's coming up.
You
We call
recently
him
had
Slow.
Kevin Sutton. You recently had Kevin Sutton on.
I had Kevin Sutton. I've had Bruiser Flint, who was assistant at UMass, head coach at Drexel for 15 years, went back to Indiana, now is at Kentucky. He's been on.
So we've got some good episodes coming up, even as much as you've already done. There's still some stuff that we expect in season 1. I cannot wait. We can't wait to see what's going on, what's more. Lamar, I so appreciate you taking time to come back to What's Good Gifted and for us to just talk about what you've got going on. You know, you were so gracious with Full Time Out. And again, we needed it at that moment. And I'm really grateful that Ace and I were able to do something fun. You know, in that transition, being away from your teams, like, it's a lot to be so vested in your team as a coach and not be able to get there and not be able to do so. And again, basketball being a part of our lives, since we could even shoot a hoop or play horse with our father, it's tough when you don't have it. So it was really great. And I'm looking forward to seeing what more comes from Unmasked. You can find out more about Unmasked at YouTube, correct? Under Lamar
YouTube
Barrett.
channel, Unmasked. Untold Stories of College Basketball Coaches.
There you go. Unmasked, Untold Stories of College Basketball. Lamar, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Steph. I appreciate it. You know, anytime, I might get you on Unmasked one day, like all the work you do. So don't be surprised if I'm calling you and getting you on Unmasked as well.
Okay, but I did not coach college basketball, but I coached a plenty of player. But
you don't have to. We'll have it Unmasked, and it don't have to be college basketball. It'll be something else. Just get to know you and what you do. We can create Unmasked. So.
Well, I appreciate that. And look, what I really just want is one of them shirts. Okay.
I got you. What you got to tell me what color? You make sure you text me the color and size. We can
always a black T-shirt. It's always a black T-shirt.
You know what's interesting, and I'll end with this is, I wasn't in the business I was just making these for me, and then I started going on all these Zooms, and everybody's saying, "Well, how do I get these shirts?" And I was like. So I didn't plan on this like blowing up the way it was, and everyone started saying, "Hey man, how much do they cost?" And I was like, "How much they cost?" And then people just started buying them, and I'm like, "Whoa!" Like, matter of fact, I'm picking up almost a load of 50 shirts tonight that I got to send through the mail tomorrow. So it's like,
you know what, Lamar? When you begin to walk in that purpose, live your gifts every day. And again, let us not forget What's Good Gifted and our gifted people, that gifts are like, the thing is, you're the gift, and you also have gifts, and God also blesses all of them. And literally there's something else, like there's going to be more. And just when you think, dang, you know, I've reached where I need to be, or just when you think, oh, I'm doing what I should do, God then turns into gives you something brand new, like making a way in a dry place, or he multiplies what you have in that moment and just blow your mind all the way out. And you know, that's just how he works. Lamar, there's more for you, more in store. Something's coming your way. It's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Just keep doing your thing. Thank you so much again for being my colleague, my friend, my brother in Christ, like all those things. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much again for coming back on the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Steph.
All right, you guys can check out more. Again, there's always more. From Lamar Barrett, Unmasked, the untold stories of college basketball. Check him out. He's got more to say. And again, there's more that God has for you. Thanks again for tuning in today with What's Good Gifted, the gifted Lamar Barrett. Y'all stay blessed.